LEGO expos don't just showcase trains and sci-fi creations, you know.
That's right. It's also a place where you can learn about history.
Like with this representation of the siege of Toulon.
Hey, that rhymes!
Hello, I'm Piers Reardon and I've designed and helped work on this display based on the siege of Toulon in France during the French Revolutionary War.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the what happened in that case historically.
Yeah, this is sort of because it's based on a real battle where the French of the city rebelled against the revolutionary government because they were in favour of the king, and they got support from various different nations like the Spanish, Naples and the Royal Navy. And this is depicting the battle at the end of the siege where a French revolutionary army led by a then captain Napoleon Bonaparte overwhelmed the forts that were overlooking the bay and forced the British to retreat by firing from the forts onto the trapped ships.
Right.
And this is what we've depicted here using bits from the history and also bits from the recent Napoleon film by Ridley Scott.
Right.
And so we sort of split this about 50-50 in that I designed and built the fort with all the soldiers and the smaller red ship, and then Harry did the other two ships, the big one and the fiery one.
So can you tell me a bit about the design of this ship here?
This is a ship that I've been designing different iterations of similar designs, and this is the latest one, inspired by ones I've seen online, taking all the best parts. At the moment it's flagged up as a Spanish ship of 40 guns with all the crew, and I sort of used the sort of newer dark colours rather than the classic shades, which I usually prefer to give it sort of a more realistic look. Also spent quite a long time on the rigging and the string, so there's about 20 metres of string. So it almost took as long to do all the rope as it did the bricks on the bottom.
That's actually what drew my eye to your model, actually, all that rigging.
Yeah, it does add a sort of a more realistic look, I think, to the ships and makes it more like a model rather than the toys like the sets are.
So this ship over here is being quite bombarded here.
That was Harrow's one, and I'll let him talk about Warspite.
Right, I'm Harry. Yeah, that's my smaller brig is my one. It's an older build now, and the reason it's here actually is because it's going to be taken apart and made into a different ship. So I thought I'd give it one last run out and have it on fire, ready to be taken apart later.
It's a bit gruesome, isn't it? Poor ship.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of, again, representing from the film where they were shelling the ships that were trying to escape the bay and setting them on fire. But interestingly, in reality, it was actually the British setting fire to the French ships as they were escaping to deny them from the revolutionaries.
And the ship at the background, what is this?
Yeah, so this is my 64-gun ship of the line. It's based roughly off HMS Agamemnon, which is a ship which was actually there, and it was captained by Nelson at the time, who you can see up there at the back of the bridge. Yeah, and this is sort of a design that I've been fiddling with for years digitally. So it's designed fully on Studio, which is a Bricklink sort of program, and then it was sort of iterated and then built at the start of this year. It sort of took many hours to put it all together.
It must be quite satisfying to create something digitally and then to create it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially this, which is something I've been working on for almost 5 years digitally. So it's something I've been wanting to create for ages. And then when the Napoleon film came out and this battle was depicted, it kind of worked out brilliantly because it was a ship that was actually there at the battle we wanted to depict. So it was the perfect excuse to build it, really.
Indeed. And the big castle.
Oh yeah, the fort. I'll hand you back to Piers for that because that's his creation.
Yeah, the fort was the bit that sort of crystallised the idea of doing this display. And for what I did is I took lots of older white pieces to imitate the classic style of the sets, but the white gives it sort of by using aged parts, gives it a sort of weathered effect, which breaks up what would otherwise be quite a brutal square of white bricks. And the other bit that helped was LEGO did the remake of the El Dorado Fortress set.
That's right.
Which meant that you could get the soldiers much more cheaply and allowed us to amass, we think, probably about 250 soldiers of different sorts across the whole build, which really adds to the sort of spectacle.
So you said Captain Napoleon was here.
Yes.
So is that him with the horse?
That's him on the horse, and he was an artillery captain, so it was his use of guns that helped capture the forts and then sort of deny the British their victory here. And this was what made his name and led him into history. And so we sort of got the soldiers doing all kinds of different things, sort of clambering up the walls, bringing up little mortars, heating up ammunition and firing it out and sort of repelling the British garrison off the top of the fort.
I just noticed you got a sailor in the sea, swimming away.
Yes. The ships of the time were made out of wood and covered in tar and gunpowder and stuff, so once they caught fire it was best to abandon ship because they went out like firecrackers.
Is there anything going on inside the fort?
Mostly a whole load of Duplo to make sure it's solid. It weighs quite a lot, but since this is going to be a temporary model for just these displays...
What do I see here? Oh, Captain Jack.
Oh, yes, Captain Jack is obviously using the distraction to make a grand escape from the battle.
That's brilliant. So out of all this, which was the most challenging part of the creation process?
For me, I think it was working on my frigate that we started with, because being a ship, it's got quite a complicated curved shape, which Lego doesn't particularly like making. And also, unlike my previous builds, this one's quite sturdy, so I can take a few bits off and it will happily go from show to show, whereas my previous ones would disassemble themselves. So sort of designing something that looked good and was also sturdy was the challenge there.
And you succeeded?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I'm quite pleased with it.
Well, thank you very much for your time. That's a
Thank you for
great
showing.
piece of history.